Hey guys, it's Paradise, and with the new Monster Hunter Wilds trailer, there's a ton of hidden details, easy to miss nuances, and extra information that we can glean from combining the visuals in the trailer with the extra official sources of information that are now out there. So let's not waste your time and jump right into it, going through the trailer itself and picking out everything of interest with the supplementary information that's out there like the official website and blog posts. So as you could see, we obviously have the ship and a giant desert, which could be foreboding the possibility of a giant monster living in the sands, such as Jen Moran coming back from Monster Hunter 3. I mean, tell me this cutscene doesn't directly correlate to that new trailer's intro with the ships in the desert. Imagine if we could get a modernized and improved fight on this absolute beast.
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go. And then we can get started.
This is gonna be great!
You bet.
Then, as you could see, we were introduced to several characters, but perhaps the most surprising part of this section is the Palico talking for the first time. That's right, the Palico is going to be a voiced companion this time around, with a very cutesy tone to it. Honestly, it will be weird getting used to this, but it might make the bond to them all the better. I also need to highlight and appreciate the voice of the Palico in the Japanese version. It's just so cute.
Let's get it.
And then we have the new Smithy character, Gemma. The official website describes her as a Smithy of the Research Commission. She'll take care of all of our weapon and armor crafting needs. She definitely has a fantastic overall design, and personally I love her hair. But some of you more astute commenters, such as Saki, noticed that she's wearing the Yang Cut Ku plush similar to Sophia from Monster Hunter 4. This isn't the only possible reference to Monster Hunter 4 as well as we go through the trailer. It certainly looks like this could be an ongoing theme or homage to Monster Hunter 4 in various different aspects. On top of this, on Twitter we saw Gaijin Hunter compare Gemma to Little Miss Forge, who's also from Monster Hunter 4 and definitely looks like Gemma and could possibly be a grown-up version, as Gaijin is sort of suggesting here. Then we have the other characters we're introduced to, and this time our new handler is called Alma. She's the one who manages the hunt requests, permissions, and quests, and most interestingly, the detail on the website says she will accompany you out on quests and provide valuable support and knowledge. Later in the trailer, we do see her joining us out on the field, and it will be very cool to see how we can interact with her in between hunting monsters while out in the field. Also, I love her glasses.
This is gonna be great!
You bet.
I hope we find them soon.
Finally, we see our hunter with a very cool outfit. I just love that cap. But a really cool thing about this is that it doesn't appear to be a gender-locked main character. The website has two different versions, a male and female, and this is important because it seems like the main character is now voiced, so it's good to know that you could pick a male or female version. Just how customizable we can actually make these characters isn't yet known, but they are the protagonist and character that we play, and we will be the hunter that's assigned to the Forbidden Lands Research Commission, and our job will be to help investigate this unexplored region. And as said before, our hunter is voiced this time, which is very different from previous Monster Hunter games where you are essentially the silent protagonist. Since this is a deviation from the standard Monster Hunter formula for the hunter, this is quite a change, and I would love to know what you guys think of it. Then, as you could see, we had some sort of flashback style cutscene, which at first I thought might have been the main hunter's backstory. But now we know this is a new character called Nata, who is a mysterious young boy that will accompany us on our journey, and we don't really know much more than that. But what we can glean from that cutscene is that they spot something surprising out in the open desert, which I'm speculating could possibly be a very big monster.
Incredible. I've never heard of a Karatnoth herd this big before.
One of them's got big spikes on its back.
Then for this next section, there was a real good look at the living world. The land itself is called the Forbidden Lands, and this locale specifically is called the Windward Plains. This is the first new hunting locale that we will visit as the player, and this area is meant to be a diverse region with sandy deserts, swaying grasslands, and those twisting rock formations. I love that we got to see this oasis area that had some smaller creatures in the back, what looked like gatherable items or cactuses growing, and a brand new monster which we will talk about soon.
Heard of a Karatnoth herd this big before.
One of them's got big spikes on its back.
As we could see from that section, the game has a big focus on ecology and the world being a living ecosystem. With this, we could see a herd of Ceratonoth, including one with spikes on its back, which we saw in the teaser trailer draw lightning away from the sandstorm to keep the others around it safe. This is the male of the herd, and it basically protects everyone else. We also noticed a bunch of these little bird creatures all over their backs, and if we take a look at the old concept art for the mounts, which has almost fully been implemented, the only thing that seems to be missing is this capture net, which if it does end up being included, could possibly mean these little birds could be captured and displayed in our camp, house, or sandship, and to be honest, this was one of the elements I loved in Monster Hunter World. Then here for a split second, you could see possibly the cutest thing in the whole trailer. This appears to be a literal baby Puke. I mean, just look at this little guy. I first learnt about this from Kirby Mania on Twitter when I saw the tweet, and I can't believe how easy this would have been to miss. With this discovery, we're already seeing some amazing fan art come up online, and I'm gonna be honest, if this guy isn't a pet or interactable in the full game, my day will be ruined. This next section shows a really good distinction between the two dynamically changing identities of the locale. We know the changes in environment will also apply to changes in the monsters and wildlife that live there, and there's basically two versions. The more bright and vibrant, brimming with life side, and then the barren, harsh side where the monsters become ravenous. It really is a striking visual difference between the two. And then here we can see a pack of Doshiguma, which are highly territorial and aggressive fanged beasts, which we've given them the loving nickname of Goss Haragg's cousin.
Now to lead it away from the pack, we'll make for the desert.
Right.
And with that section, we can see the glorious return of environmental hazards and the sling, but this time the slinger can actually collect items from a distance, even while riding on the back of your mount, and there's even contextual actions that can be activated from a distance, like triggering traps. This is something I personally love to see, as shooting rocks onto monsters or popping flash pods into the sky to knock them out the sky is something that made Monster Hunter World so much fun.
The sandstorm! Now commencing the hunt by order of the guild.
This next bit is actually very cool and shows how brutal things can get in the sandstorm, with the Doshigumas desperately clawing to avoid getting sucked into the sand, looking very similar to the sand trap in the Wildspire Wastes, home to Diablos. But also the Doshiguma wrestling with another monster twisting around it to then have it thrown at the hunter and then start to fight. Right after this, we see the hunter draw its weapon, and you can hear Alma, the new handler, announce that you're commencing a hunt.
Now commencing the hunt by order of the guild.
This is a new feature in the game, where hunts and quests are automatically and seamlessly activated based on what you do, so just engaging a monster will automatically start the hunt. And there we could see the Doshiguma yeeting a poor Ceratonoth at the player, which is a very cool thing and suggests more interaction between the large and small monsters. Possibly bodies could linger in the world a bit longer than before, due to there being extra interactions like this with them. And there we had a very good stretch of gameplay against a brand new monster, the Chupacabra. This is an amphibian species that uses its adhesive saliva to attach ore and other substances to its forelegs to strengthen itself. You can see this in the trailer when it licks its legs, and then at various different sections, there are rocks covering its arms to power it up. However, in this section, we can also see the hunter calling its mount, and the hunter is actually knocked down at this point. So this is some kind of extremely fast recovery option when you get knocked over. If you watch it in slow motion, you can see the mount very quickly come up and scoop up the hunter. Then the hunter rides away and starts to pull out a potion to drink while riding to safety. Finally, we see some sort of turf war looking engagement with a smaller group of monsters going absolutely ham on the Chupacabra. And there we got a really good look at the mount and some mounted combat. In Monster Hunter Wilds, we have something called a secret. This is our replacement for a Palamute back in Rise. It's super agile and, as per the website, is critical support for our hunter, just like that knockdown recovery move that we saw. While riding, you can also drink potions, sharpen your weapon, and gather materials. It also features a secondary weapon stashed on its saddle, which, by the way, you can freely choose out of all 14 returning weapons, including any 2, even the same 2 if that's your thing. There's no word, however, on new weapons so far, as only the standard returning 14 have been confirmed. However, the secret also has a very well-developed sense of smell that will allow it to guide us automatically to our current objective or any location you select on the map. This suggests that you can mark something on the map and the secret will ride you to there automatically without any input, perhaps similar to marking monsters in Rise and then riding your Palamute to get to them. So the mount will play a vital role from traversal to combat and even gathering. Here we got some amazing gameplay showing off the greatsword and the bowgun, with several new moves and a whole new mechanic showed off called Focus Mode. This is a new mode that allows you to aim your attacks to pinpoint a monster's weak spots. You can also target a weak spot with special new attacks that will deal massive damage if targeted well. In this mode, it lets you create weak points and looks like it highlights them on the monster's body. By repeatedly attacking the same parts, you can gradually damage them and create a new weak spot. These weak points are marked with these red scout flies, and attacking them will allow for critical follow-up attacks that deal massive damage. So in this gameplay, we actually got to see various new focus mode attacks, carving weak points into monsters, and there was that really awesome bowgun explosive shot that just looked amazing.
Lead hunter for this expedition.
And then we get to see the hunter and a seasoned older character who has selected our player character to lead an expedition, and the community has pointed out that he looks very similar to the Ace Hunter from Monster Hunter 4. Finally, we see the hunter drop an SOS flare to call in other player hunters for support, and throughout this section, we can see 4 hunters in total, as is standard for Monster Hunter, but the most interesting thing to see is a sort of focused weak point attack where the hunter guards against a powerful hit, leading to a dynamic power struggle. This suggests some form of QTE, quick time event, or perhaps a button mash as you struggle against the monster. This just looks awesome, and I cannot wait to try it out and see how many other iterations there are, especially with other weapons and with other monsters. Furthermore, you can see a hammer user and bowgunner off to the left of the screen, which is very interesting because they have 2 new looking armor sets. People are theorizing that one could be the Doshaguma's armor set on the hammer character and the Chupacabra frog armor set on the bowgunner. But over on the right of the screen, for just literally a couple of frames, you can see what looks like a longsword or insect glaive user, but there's too little to really tell anything more than that. Of course, following this, we have the Monster Hunter Wilds logo, with its very distinct features being circles, possibly representing the fact that this is Monster Hunter 6. But there's also the Mirrored Serpents, which seems to have 2 versions and is likely to be the flagship. If one version is more peaceful and one version is more aggressive, this could line up with the changes in the locales during the sandstorms and outside of the sandstorms when things are more peaceful and things are more ravenous. The game is still slated for 2025 with no more specifics given just yet, but we do get a look at some nice World and Iceborne goodies for your Palico if you have that save data on your PlayStation. I'm pretty sure all of you guys have played Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, so I'm assuming no one's going to miss out on these. But if you haven't played World and Iceborne, you really should jump into it on the run up to Wilds. They are fantastic games. And don't sleep on Monster Hunter Rise because it's also super fun. We're going to have even more coming your way soon, but tell us below if there's anything else you noticed in this trailer, because I would love to hear any extra details that I might have missed.